Well, I keep hearing about all these, I call them fads, that are around. YouTube is just absolutely full of it. The last few years we've had, like, you know, squatting and jumping through the ball. And there's various other ones. The latest one I keep hearing about now is this with John Ram, you know, with his driver, addressing the club maybe so far behind the ball. And apparently this is going to give you another 15, 20 yards. I don't understand it, and I'd like any of the coaches out there who are advocating that to actually get back to me and explain the basic physics of how that's going to help. It's an idiosyncrasy of John Ram, and I've seen it with 2 or 3 really good players down the years doing things like that at address. It's not the be-all and end-all. I heard somebody mention Mo Norman did that. He did it in a different way. He actually was further back and he was actually pre-setting his wrists. So all he was actually doing was turning from there. The set was already done in the setup. John Ram doesn't do that. He actually swings back and his transition does the work for him. You know, it really loads his wrists up. So he's not setting up with his wrists loaded up. It's just, as I say, it's one of those idiosyncrasies. And really, with all the clubs, driver included, the real distance comes from the so-called, first of all, hinging, and then the release of that energy through the ball. And things like, I saw another one, or what it is, I don't really look at these videos, but one of my pupils said to me the other day, oh, this business of tucking the right arm in. Oh yes, that should really be right from the setup, keeping those arms together. And you're kind of pre-setting that position where you're coming in. The club head is the last bit to come in. Exactly as you were throwing a stone here, you wouldn't throw it from out here. The stone would land over here somewhere. It's exactly the same principle to get into that position where on the downswing, my right hand has stayed loaded. Split second later, the release happens. 0.2 of a second, something like that. Now my left wrist is hinged back in itself. So it's all happening down here through impact. You don't see it in television, it all happens so quickly. But that's really what top players are doing. Suddenly, bang. That's how somebody like Ernie Els can look as if he swings so slowly. And he was actually tested years ago against all the other players in the tour, and they found that from here to here, every other player was here before Ernie Els, but he actually got down to the ball first. So it was all in that lovely last minute snap release, no effort, allowing the club head to work for you. And when I've done that, you know, if I just, back we go, and swing through, you can see now, as I've come through here, I did a short swing just to show that real important release. My left wrist is really hinged back on itself. So remember, true distance comes from a combination of turning and really allowing those wrists to hinge and unhinge. Little things like, you know, club head behind the ball and trying to use your ground for your, you know, jumping through it really doesn't help. So really, it's getting back to real sound fundamentals.